Afternoon. It's an absolute pleasure to be here. When I took this job 5 months ago, I was keen to get on the road and talk to levy payers. I wanted to know exactly what livestock producers were thinking and what they expected from their service, from the industry services company now and into the future. I have been fortunate to meet with hundreds of levy payers since June, and in the past couple of weeks I have been in Queensland at 6 consultation meetings talking with producers. The pressures on our northern industry are intense. The conditions are the worst that they have been for 40 years. As our chair has said, livestock turn-off has been extreme. Close to 19 million cattle have been slaughtered or live exported in the past 2 years, breaking records on a number of fronts. The forecast for this year is 8.7 million cattle to be slaughtered and perhaps up to 1.2 million cattle to be live exported. This is my first AGM, and I'm fully aware of the vital role MLA plays in supporting industry through these difficult times. And the need for MLA to deliver value on levy investments has never been more apparent. The meetings in Queensland were not easy, but to the amazement of a lot of people present, I do enjoy them, and I do enjoy being in front of levy payers getting their feedback. My conversations with levy payers have been robust, and 3 common topics quickly become very obvious. The first is about processor dominance of MLA. No one sitting here on this stage represents the processing sector. In fact, the majority of your directors are levy payers. The board has a range of skills and expertise and experience, and I can tell you that each and every one of them is passionate about our industry and committed to changes we need to make at MLA. The second point is the lack of understanding that exists around industry structure. This is a fundamental issue. Industry wants MLA to do things that MLA cannot do. MLA is not and cannot be an industry representative body. MLA cannot lobby government on behalf of industry. MLA is a marketing, research and development organisation that invests across the value chain. We take strategic direction from industry's representative bodies, and we provide the services needed to support industry. This fundamental lack of understanding needs to be addressed, and I am committed to being more proactive in helping levy payers understand industry structures. The third point that is apparent and is consistently raised is Meat Standards Australia. Last financial year, more than 3 million head of cattle presented for MSA grading, up 25% on the previous year. There was a differential of 213 million paid to producers, depending on if they did or didn't comply with MSA. We need to grow the premiums that are paid for MSA-compliant cattle, and we need to ensure more and more producers can capture those premiums. MLA is delivering programs to open new pathways so producers can better understand the drivers for compliance and how they can improve their compliance through better genetics and on-farm management. MSA is delivering value to our industry, and it still has the potential to deliver much more. We are serious, we're actually very serious about how we continue to invest in MSA. These are 3 points, as I said, that most commonly get raised with me when I do direct levy payer consultation. And levy payers should be asking these questions. After all, MLA is 100% producer-owned. And I can understand why they are asking more of MLA now. Faced with the worst drought conditions levy payers want to understand the value they get from their levy and have got from their levy over many years. I do respond by saying, after being in MLA for 4 to 5 months, your levy investment is delivering value. I say that while there is no doubt more MLA can do, we have supported and will continue to support industry. The impact of drought is being felt across the country and across the industry. The flood of livestock on the market has been unprecedented, and while I understand it brings little comfort to those who are struggling in these conditions, it has also been met with unprecedented global demand. MLA's investment on behalf of industry in international markets and market access over many years has helped us build this. Think how this flood of livestock would have played out had this groundwork in global markets not been undertaken. Long-term strategies long-term investment are really the core to the value of your levy investment. The reputation of Australian products as clean and safe did not happen overnight. It's the result of industry investment over a long period of time. Australia's entry into over 100 export markets did not happen overnight. It's the result of industry investment in market access programs. MSA did not happen overnight. It's the result of one of industry's most ambitious R&D investment programs and the envy of a lot of R&D programs across the world. And the next big leaps for our industry will not happen overnight, but we are making investments in programs that will shape the future of our industry. Underpinning the success of MSA is significant investment in genetics and genomics across beef and sheep, as well as significant investments in objective carcass measurement to ensure the parameters that underpin MSA are accurate, credible and transparent for industry. These measures will underpin MLA's ability to deliver cuts-based MSA sheep meat program to industry. The objective is to shift the focus from subjective to objective decision-making throughout breeding, finishing and processing of livestock. We're working to provide livestock producers with data, insight and tools necessary to make informed decisions about their breeding and management programs. You heard Dr. Alex Ball talking about some of these technologies earlier today. There is a project underway to assess and review the language used across the value chain. Industry is looking for a system that is more transparent and more carcass measurement that is truly objective. I've had many phone calls from producers about this. I've provided the MLA board with an update and I intend to consult industry so we can effectively address producer concerns. We expect to have the initial review identifying the requirements of the beef language white paper completed by April, and from there we will develop options for a meat language model for industry to decide upon. These investments are about innovation, finding new ways to do things and being open to new ideas. Industry-led innovation and the type that MLA facilitates through the MLA donor company is also delivering results and should be encouraged in an era of tightening R&D funds. Put simply, the MLA donor company, or MDC, provides a mechanism through which private or commercial parties can invest in R&D that will benefit them as well as industry at large. There are no levy funds used in MDC projects. The MDC is a funding mechanism that allows MLA to attract additional investment into R&D. MDC currently has more than 60 partners and its projects provide a 1 to 4 to 5 return on investment. That is, for every dollar invested in MDC, there's a return of $4 to $5. It's a model that works and it complements levy funding R&D. MDC projects are particularly future focused. They tackle issues that impact on margins throughout the supply chain and ultimately farm gate prices. For example, we all know labour costs are proving prohibitive to growth in our industry, and robotics clearly has the potential to transform labour requirements. The MDC has facilitated significant investment in this important area of innovation. Individual robotic technologies developed through this program, such as the leap lamb boning technologies, have now been successfully trialled in production environments and are delivering net benefits of up to $9 million per site per annum. Over time, the outcomes from non-farm-based investments will result in benefits being transferred to producers through increased competition and hopefully higher prices for livestock. Despite these achievements, the future of the levy structure has been in the headlines recently, with grass-fed levy systems the point of many discussions. It's a conversation worth having. After all levy payers should know and understand where and how their levy money is invested. And ultimately, any changes to levy structure must be an industry decision. R&D is a long-term game requiring consistent investment and strategy. We urge industry to consider carefully the benefit of a whole-of-value chain approach. Grass-fed cattle production does not happen in isolation. It's one component of a broader industry value chain. In saying that, nothing was more obvious in my conversation with levy payers than the need for MLA to be better connected and better accountable to levy payers. We've heard this message through independent reviews, the Senate inquiry process, the media, as well as personal conversations that I've had and the board has had. We have moved to change our structure and put levy payers at the centre of everything we do. We have spoken with literally hundreds of producers about our new R&D consultation model. Our goal is to provide levy payers with a clearly understood and straightforward pathway to influence their levy investment. Within the next 18 months, all of MLA's R&D levy investments will either come through grassroots consultation or have been developed in response to the meat industry strategic plan. We will also have put new systems in place to ensure more rigour around the assessment of R&D projects before they are approved. I believe, as does the MLA board, that the status quo will not remain in many parts of our industry. The place for MLA's whole-of-value chain approach, independent expertise and insight must be understood by industry first, and then industry can have an informed discussion on change. However, I will again state, we have demonstrated the ability to change, and we are well prepared for change that has positive outcome for the whole of the industry. Over the past couple of months, we've streamlined our operations, identified 4 key result areas that must drive what MLA does. The first one is producer profitability, which is putting levy payers at the centre of our business. The second is stakeholder engagement, which is being open and transparent and communicating effectively with our stakeholders. Leadership and culture is number 3, which is providing industry with data and evidence and building a culture of innovation. And the fourth is governance, finance and risk management, which is ensuring systems are in place for our stakeholders, including taxpayers. We are rewriting the job description of every person who works at MLA to ensure their role and their performance plan clearly links what they do back to these 4 key areas. Our reinvigorated approach to consultation will bring us closer to producer needs. It will provide the mechanism through which industry can assess and agree large, bold projects that will have an impact at farm gate. We will provide the future-looking data analysis that will guide and inform industry to its decision-making. And we will ensure our management of the levy investment is best practice and our reporting makes this clear. We will listen to levy payers to ensure we're delivering on what they need. We will listen by being out on the ground talking with levy payers. We will be holding consultation meetings across the country with an open invitation to all levy payers to come and talk to us about how they want their service company to operate. We'll be asking the industry representative bodies to come along with us to these consultation meetings so we can talk about the industry structures and how it all fits together. Finally, there is one other thing that has struck me since I've joined MLA 5 months ago. Everyone in the industry is generally working to achieve the best outcomes. We might not all necessarily agree on the best way to achieve those outcomes, but the intent is there. These are some of the toughest times our industry has ever been through. There is so much opportunity with record growth in demand for our product, but it's being offset by the realities of producers trying to maintain their businesses through incredibly hard drought conditions. Now is the time for industry to come together, to work together constructively and harness the resources we have to drive benefit for the whole of industry. There will be changes over the coming year. Some of these changes will be for the industry to determine, and some of these changes will be instigated by MLA. But regardless of how the change is generated, we are, at MLA, committed to working with the industry to achieve the best outcome for the industry. Thank you.